We live in an age of instant information. Every move by the world's elite, from their latest private jet purchases to their controversial tweets, seems to be dissected and broadcast within minutes. But what if I told you that the most significant, the most strategic, and arguably the most impactful moves by the ultra-wealthy are happening right under our noses, almost entirely in silence? Forget the flashy headlines about tech giants and crypto kings. The truly strategic investors aren't just buying yachts or luxury penthouses. They're not just pouring billions into speculative startups. They are, in fact, acquiring the most fundamental asset on Earth, land. Specifically, farmland. And this isn't about feeding the world. It's about something far more profound, far more powerful, and far more concerning. For centuries, land has been the ultimate measure of wealth and power. But in the modern era, with our complex financial instruments and digital economies, many assume land is an old-world asset. Big mistake. Because right now, the world's billionaires are engaged in an unprecedented quiet land grab, particularly focusing on agricultural land. And the motivations are anything but simple. This isn't about becoming a farmer. It's about building a multi-layered leverage that no volatile stock market or speculative crypto investment can offer. Think about it. Tax-free income, mechanisms designed to keep their wealth growing without significant taxation. Inflation-proof land, a tangible asset that historically holds its value, often appreciating, especially during economic uncertainty. Crucial water rights, a resource becoming increasingly scarce and valuable globally. Government subsidies, direct payments and incentives tied to agricultural production. This isn't just about diversification, it's about establishing a new, foundational asset class. Farmland is quietly, yet rapidly, becoming the ultimate billionaire hedge, a strategic acquisition that offers stability, security, and a hidden path to immense, long-term returns. So who exactly is leading this silent revolution? You might be surprised by some of the names already deep in the dirt. Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder, through his investment firm Cascade Investments, has quietly amassed an astonishing portfolio, now making him America's largest private farmland owner. We're talking hundreds of thousands of acres across multiple states: Louisiana, Arkansas, Nebraska, Arizona, Washington, and more. While his representatives claim it's for environmental sustainability and agricultural innovation, the sheer scale of these acquisitions raises fundamental questions about control over food systems. And it's not just traditional farmland. Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder, while not directly buying vast tracts of land, is heavily backing vertical farming startups like Plenty and AeroFarms. This is another form of agricultural control, shifting food production from traditional fields to climate-controlled, tech-intensive facilities. It's about efficiency, yes, but also about concentrated control over food supply chains. And then there's the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett. While his public profile often focuses on more traditional investments, Berkshire Hathaway has a history of quietly acquiring stakes in agricultural businesses and even direct farmland. He reportedly bought a 400-acre farm in the 1980s for a paltry sum, which has since skyrocketed in value. His philosophy? Buy good businesses and hold them forever. For him, farmland is a good business. But it's not just these household names. A significant portion of this land grab is happening through less visible entities: massive hedge funds, pension funds, and private equity firms. They operate through layers of anonymous shell, LLCs, and trusts, acquiring thousands upon thousands of acres in bulk, often in regions critical for water or specific high-value crops. This opacity makes it incredibly difficult to track the true scale of these acquisitions, but the implications are undeniable. Farmland isn't just an asset for them. It's a foundational infrastructure. Let's break down what infrastructure truly means in this context. When these entities buy farmland, they aren't just buying dirt. They are controlling the very arteries of a nation's lifeblood. Water access. In an increasingly water-stressed world, ownership of land often means control over critical water rights: rivers, aquifers, irrigation systems. This is a strategic advantage that will only grow in value. Crop production. Owning the land means influencing what gets grown, how it gets grown, and ultimately who gets to eat it. This isn't about setting prices on a global scale, but about leveraging influence over specific regions and commodities. Federal subsidies. The agricultural sector is heavily subsidized by governments worldwide. Owning farmland means tapping into these consistent revenue streams, often with little direct effort beyond leasing the land. Local influence. With significant land holdings comes significant local political clout. Landowners can shape zoning laws, influence infrastructure projects, and even impact environmental regulations, all to their benefit. It's a real-world monopoly board, and the billionaires are stacking their pieces early, quietly, and strategically before anyone else realizes the game is even being played. They're building a foundational power base, brick by agricultural brick. Now, let's talk about the incredible financial incentives driving this trend, specifically the tax advantages of owning the earth. The super-rich leverage farmland in ways most average investors can only dream of. 1031 exchanges. This is a powerful IRS provision that allows investors to defer capital gains taxes when they sell one investment property and reinvest the proceeds into a like-kind property. Farmland fits perfectly. Sell a highly appreciated building in a city, roll those gains into a vast acreage of farmland, deferring millions in taxes, sometimes indefinitely. It's a loophole that allows wealth to compound tax-free. Passive income via leases. Most billionaire landowners aren't actively farming. They lease their land to farmers, often on long-term contracts. This generates a steady, reliable stream of passive income, requiring minimal oversight. This income often qualifies for lower tax rates than active business income. Conservation easement deductions. This is a brilliant strategy. Wealthy landowners can donate development rights of their land to a conservation organization. They retain ownership of the land itself, but by restricting future development, they can claim a massive charitable tax deduction, often equal to a significant percentage of the land's fair market value. It's a win-win. They preserve some land, get a huge tax break, and still own the asset. Depreciation. Yes, even on land-related assets. While land itself isn't depreciable, things on the land are irrigation systems, fences, barns, farm equipment. These assets can be depreciated over time, creating significant paper losses that can offset other taxable income. The result of these combined strategies? Cash grows. Taxes shrink. It's a perfectly legal, fully leveraged, and incredibly effective way for the wealthy to not only protect, but also rapidly expand their fortunes, shielded from the taxman. Beyond the financial wizardry, there's a deeper, more existential motivation at play: survival. In times of profound crisis, whether it's an economic collapse, a global pandemic, or geopolitical instability, luxury assets become liabilities. A yacht needs fuel and staff. A private jet needs maintenance. But farmland? Farmland does three things no other luxury asset can. Produces food. It provides the most fundamental necessity for human life. Retains value. Unlike stocks or even gold, which can fluctuate wildly, productive land has an inherent, tangible value that tends to hold steady, even appreciate, during chaos. Protects families. It offers a physical refuge, a place to be self-sufficient, to grow food, and to weather the storm away from urban centers. Billionaires aren't just thinking about the next quarter's returns, they're thinking 50 years ahead. They're thinking about generational wealth, about stability in an unstable world. In this context, land isn't just an investment. It's a form of ultra-liquid life insurance, a tangible asset that offers security and self-sufficiency when other systems fail. It's not about paranoia. It's about strategic foresight and hedging against worst-case scenarios. This control extends far beyond mere ownership. It's about shaping the future. Landowners, especially those with vast holdings, wield immense power to shape local and regional development. Shape laws. They influence local and state politicians, pushing for legislation favorable to their land use, whether it's agricultural policy, water rights, or property taxes. Shape zoning. They can lobby to change zoning laws, converting agricultural land into industrial parks, housing developments, or commercial zones. This is where the true, unseen ROI comes into play. Shape what gets built. With significant land holdings, they dictate where future roads, utilities, and infrastructure projects might go, essentially laying the groundwork for entire communities. When you quietly own thousands of acres, you're no longer just an investor, you're an infrastructure player. You're building the literal foundation for future economic activity, future populations, and future control. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a strategic business model playing out on a grand scale. The quiet nature of these acquisitions is deliberate. As I mentioned, many are buying via shell LLCs, anonymous trusts, and private equity land funds specifically designed to obscure ownership. Why so quiet? Because once the public catches wind of a billionaire acquiring land in a specific area, the price spikes. They move stealthily to acquire at lower prices, accumulating vast tracts before the market reacts. This brings us to the new playbook, the 0.01% strategy for land ownership. Own the land. Acquire vast parcels, often at agricultural rates. Lease to farmers. Generate passive income, keeping the land productive and often qualifying for agricultural tax breaks. Use water rights as leverage. Control access to vital resources, enhancing the value and strategic importance of the land. Sell carbon credits. As the market for carbon sequestration grows, vast land holdings offer the potential to generate significant revenue by implementing sustainable farming practices or reforesting, then selling carbon credits to polluting industries. This is a burgeoning market for green profit. Convert for future development. This is the ultimate long-term play. That $2 million cornfield today? In 10 or 20 years, with strategic zoning changes and infrastructure development, it could be a $20 million housing development, an industrial park, or a data center. The initial agricultural investment becomes a tiny fraction of the ultimate development value. This transformation from agricultural asset to development goldmine is the unseen ROI. It's not just about food production anymore. It's about strategically positioned land for future population growth, industry, or even simply for its resource value. You might have seen these billionaires donating large sums to charities, funding global initiatives, or launching philanthropic foundations. You thought they were simply being generous. And yes, some of that is certainly true. But look closely. The nonprofit world, especially when tied to land trusts or conservation efforts, can be the last elite playground, fully legal, fully leveraged, and often fully untouchable from many forms of public scrutiny and taxation. So the next time you drive past endless fields of corn or wheat, remember this. You see fields. They see future control. The billionaires aren't just playing silent games. They're playing for permanent returns, for generational power, and for ultimate leverage over the very ground beneath our feet. They're not buying yachts. They're buying wheat fields. And the rich don't tweet their moves. They move the pieces before the board is even public.